some of those. We are.
Spooky yet?
We haven't even been introduced and we're already being heckled.
I didn't put it on the flyer that hecklers are appreciated. My name is Justin Butler. I'm director of the Associates in Fine Arts Music Degree program here at Caldwell Community College. This is the program's 40th year in existence at the college. That just seems insanely amazing to me, to have the program here in Caldwell County for 40 years now. And I would like to highlight one of our performers here, Kay Crouch, who is a newly minted faculty emeritus here at the I'm sure most of you know, Kay ran the ship here for a significant amount of time. I am very thankful that she did an incredible job because I got to slide right into this position with a wonderful program. And thank you, Kay. Thank you very much. A couple things before we get started. I want to make sure that everybody checks your electronic devices, your pagers, your beepers, your cell phones, your tablets, and make sure that we either have those muted or prefer to just turn them off. So that we don't disrupt the musicians and the audience members. Additionally, if you need to leave for any reason, restrooms, water, whatever it is, try to enter and exit between songs as you hear applause so that we don't disrupt the audience and the musicians and the performance going on. And if you have any questions about music courses or the music degree program here at Caldwell Community College, feel free to come talk to me at any point in time. My door is always open and I'm happy to discuss our program and all the musical offerings we have for the whole community. It's not just for music students. If you want to learn how to play piano, if you want to sing in a chorus, whatever it may be, come talk to me. So we got these wonderful people on stage, and I feel like I need to get off this stage so that you can enjoy this.
Thank you, Justin. Mr. Justin Butler there, folks. He's a great American. I'm going to introduce another great American right now. This is my sweetie K-Bob over here. She's going to start the show today, and I think she's going to use a meat cleaver, and there's going to be a lot of blood and guts in this one, so everybody hang in there. What you got, K-Bob?
It's true life, blood and guts. It's a song about the Shankill Butchers, or a group of Protestant loyalists in Northern Ireland who...
Sounds scary already.
Yeah, who decided that they needed to take out a few Catholics, and they did. They killed a couple dozen Catholics over a period of about 7 years between 75 and 82, and luckily they all got their comeuppance. But they their day jobs were they worked at a meat packing plant, so they used their tools to. No, it's not a Sweeney Todd kind of thing, but they did use their tools to torture victims before they killed them. It's a nasty business, but this is the story of the Shankill Butchers.
Yeah, thank you.
The Shankill Butchers ride tonight. You better shut your windows tight. They're sharpening their cleavers and their knives, and taking all their whiskey by the pint, and everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, a wicked wind will blow the ribbons from your curls, and everybody moans. Everybody shake. The Shankill Butchers wanna catch you away. Well, they used to be just like me and you. They used to be sweet little boys, but something has gone horribly askew. Now killing is their only source of joy, and everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, shake. The Shankill butchers wanna catch you awake. Shankill butchers on the rise. They're waiting till the dead of night. They're picking at their fingers with their knives and sharpening their cleavers on their thighs. And everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, a wicked wind will blow the ribbons from your curls. Everybody moan, everybody shake. The Shankill butchers wanna catch you. The Shankill butchers wanna cut you. The Shankill butchers wanna catch you away.
Well, at least I know my supper will be chopped up. Everything will be in bite size today, I'm sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce this next performer. This is a young man that I met a few years back on the banks of the Yadkin River. He had a fiddle in one hand and a guitar in the other hand, and sings like a mockingbird. And he's a pretty good liar too. Make William, Mr. William Ritter, right there he is.
Thank you. Gosh, hey, I'm still caught up on the they want to catch you awake.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's actually a lot scarier than catch you asleep. Oh, man. Well, I guess I'll do an old love song, as they call them, which meant someone was brutally murdered in it, or died of some other, something else, love adjacent maybe. I think I'll do one that I learned from Sheila K. Adams. At least she was the first person I heard sing it, and it's not exactly a rare old ballad, but I want to sing it because, in honor of her, because recently Sheila, one of our, well, we call her the queen of folk music in our little circle, but she's an incredible storyteller, ballad singer, acclaimed author, and just a really interesting person. But she was recently in the hospital in the Heart Tower Mission, and they brought her back, but for 60 seconds she was dead, and I'm glad that she's back with us. She's really a light in the darkness for many of us. But so I'll sing this song in honor of Sheila, and keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and send her some positive thoughts. She's missed out on a lot of gigs and things this year from other ailments, though this last one was very serious. But it's called Lady Margaret, and it's about a young woman who looks out her window, and then she sees her lover on the way to the church with someone that is not her, getting ready to get married, or coming from getting married. And that upsets her enough that she visits him that night, comes to his bed feet, and in the old tales and different things, one of the big things was that ghosts would come and maybe even sit on your feet, but come to your bed feet. That is something that comes up a lot in stories and ballads. So, yeah, Sweet William, he wakes up and he sees this ghost at the foot of his bed and has a conversation with her. It kind of goes downhill from there. Lady Margaret sitting in her high hall chair, combing back her long yeller hair, when who did she spy but sweet William and his bride, as to the courtyard they drew near. And she threw down her ivory comb, threw back her long yeller hair, said, I'll go down and I'll bid him farewell, and I'll never more go there. It was late all in the night, and the men was fast asleep. Lady Margaret appeared all dressed in white, standing at their bed feet. She said, how do you like your bed? And how do you like your sheets? And how do you like that fair young girl lying in your arms asleep? He said, it's very well, do I like my bed? Much better do I like my sheets. But it's best of all that fair young girl standing at my bed feet. And it's once he kissed her lily white hand, twice he kissed her cheek, and 3 times he kissed her cold, cold lips, and he fell in her arms asleep. What dreams are these? I know they mean no good, for I dreamed that my bower was full of red swine, and my bride's bed full of blood. And he called the servant man to go saddle the dappled roan, and he rode till he come to Lady Margaret's house, and he knocked at the door alone. And he said, is Lady Margaret in the room, or is she out in the hall? Lady Margaret was lying in a cold black coffin, with her face turned towards the wall. It's unwind, unwind that snow white shroud, be it ever so fine, for I long to kiss those sweet, sweet lips, though I know they'll never kiss mine. And it's once he kissed her lily white hand, twice he kissed her cheek, and 3 times he kissed her cold, corpy lips, and he fell in her arms asleep. Lady Margaret.
Did no one ever tell him that if you kiss a corpse that you ain't getting out of that
Yes,
ballad
it's sure way
alive?
to die. My question is, when he comes up, to the family, I guess they're having a wake or whatever, when she died, is why they're like, okay, when he says, take the shroud off, I want to give her a big smooch. They're not like, get out of here, creep. Or maybe there was a lot of drinking, maybe it was one of those kind of wakes, and they were like, come on, sweet William.
Those
Anyways.
ballads are great, though.
Yeah.
Might have been on Halloween, William, that happened. Well, this next person right here is just a total honor for me to be here with him in his presence. He's one of my heroes in the music business. I met him a long time ago through one of my best friends in the world, a fellow named Tom Coon, and I know a lot of y'all know Tom. And if I'm not mistaken, Thomas introduced me to this fellow, and he was one of the first people I ever met that wrote a lot of songs, and he just made that his business to compose his own music and perform his own music. And he's been an inspiration to me. I don't have enough time to tell you how many ways he's influenced me over the years. But please welcome my hero right here, Mr. Michael Reno Harrell.
Thank you, buddy. I fell in love with Pat Crouch just from Tom Coon's description of him. So. When I saw in 1980 the movie The Shining, until that point, the scariest movie I'd ever seen was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I was 4 years old, and when that witch came down that river in that canoe, carrying that poison apple to give to that princess, I jumped off my mama's lap and ran up the aisle of the Princess Theater, through the lobby, out into the street, and I was halfway to McCrory's 5 and 10 cent store before my mama grabbed my shirt tail. There's a house way down on the edge of town I believe needs exorcising. 'Cause there's a kudzu maze and a permanent haze where I've seen demons rising. An old lady lives there, got bright green hair and a big hairy wart on her nose. And if that's not a witch, poison ivy don't itch, and a dead skunk smells like a rose. Well, I don't scare easy, and it may sound funny, but there ain't enough candy in the whole wide world, and there sure enough ain't enough money for me to climb her steps and ring her bell and holler, trick or treat. Well, I might convince my mind to go, but I could never convince my feet. Oh no, I might convince my mind to go, but I could never convince my feet. Well, there's bells that ring and things that scream all hours of the day and night. 13 dead toads in the middle of the road, they all say died from fright. Well, that old crone, she screams and moans, it sounds like bloody murder. And I'm telling you, you'd be scared too if you ever walked by and heard her. Well, I don't scare easy, and it may sound funny, but there ain't enough candy in the whole wide world, and there sure enough ain't enough money for me to climb her steps and ring her bell and holler trick or treat. Well, I might convince my mind to go, but I could never convince my feet. Oh no, I might convince my mind to go, but I could never convince my feet. Well, my dad insists that she ain't no witch, says I got no need to fear her. But there's a really good chance I'd wet my pants if ever I got near her. She got a big old pot, keeps it boiling hot, and she stirs it with a big egg beater. And I'll bet you a nickel to a bread and butter pickle that pot's full of trick-or-treaters. Well, I don't scare easy, and it may sound funny, but there ain't enough candy in the whole wide world, and there sure enough ain't enough money for me to climb her steps and ring her bell and holler trick or treat. Well, I might convince my mind to go, but I can never convince my feet. Oh no, I might convince my mind to go, but I can never convince my feet. Don't fail me now. Thank you very much.
Oh, Mikey, I hear you over there, buddy. Okay, Bob, drop your D on your guitar. We're going to get on down to it now. I'm scooting up. I got to get a little closer. That scared me pretty bad.
Closer, yes.
I don't scare easy. You know, we've Case sang a song there that's passed down, and William sang a song that was passed down, and Mikey, I don't know where your song came from, but I have a pretty good idea. I got a pretty good idea where that one came from. I've lived most of my life in Caldwell County, not all of my life yet, but this song you're about to hear is about a man who lived in Caldwell County for a while, and he worked a day job, and he would on Friday when he got paid, he would go to he'd go to an entertainment establishment, and he would play cards until Sunday afternoon. Come Sunday afternoon, he'd go home, and his wife would clean him up, and feed him, get him all fattened up, and send him to work next week. And this was his pattern for a number of years. And one Sunday afternoon, the gambling man didn't come home. And so his wife called the law, and the law, well, you got any idea where the man might be? She said, oh, I know exactly where he is. So the law goes there, and they find the man's car, but they don't find the man. And they investigate for a little bit, and then they drop the investigation because they can't find the man. They've got his car, that's all they've got. And a dog that was on community watch about 3 weeks later brought in an important piece of evidence, and the lady who lived next door saw the evidence, and she called the law again, and she went hysterical on them. But this song's called The Gambling Man, based on a true story. Well, the gambling man, he never came home. His loving wife, she knew something was wrong. So she called the police. The man couldn't be found, but his car was parked outside of the poker house. There were many eyes that were in that room where the gambling man would meet his doom. And many eyes saw the very last hand that was ever played by the gambling man. Did he run out of time, or did he run into luck? Did he run out of money when they called his bluff? One thing in this life is understood: if you can't pay with money, you're gonna pay with blood. Oh, the gambling man, he never came home. His loving wife, she knew something was wrong. So she called the police. Her man couldn't be found, but his car was parked outside of the poker house. Nobody was found, so the law gave up, and nobody ever talked, or they didn't talk much. An old dog in the yard knew the scent of the crime, and he found the evidence just in time. So we know the place where the car was parked. We got the gambling man's head drug up in the yard. No charges filed, no case was closed. It's still a mystery around here, I suppose. The gambling man, he never came home. His loving wife, she knew something was wrong.
The piece of him that I thought the dog brought in the yard. That's like the least horrible part. I was just kind of surprised.
Well, that was a multiple choice, on the intro there. How many of you got it right? Okay, well, and it's just going to be nice to know, Michael, that in a few hundred years they're going to be singing your song about the feet and my song about the head to toe there. And we're going to be just like old William there, kissing corpses. We're going to be folklore, Michael. What do you think of that?
Lips,
It goes back to you, William Ritter. What you got over there?
Well, I'll do. There's always a bumper crop of songs about young women getting murdered, and so I'll do one where the feller gets killed.
All right, sounds good. Only fair.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah. Sarah wants me to bring some balance into my song singing, so. This is one that I learned from Bobby McMillan, great Caldwellian, and one of the best ballad singers I think ever was, in terms of just knowing just a vast ocean of old songs, many of which he'd gone around and collected from other old people when he was young. And I was very, very blessed to get to know him well and learn a lot of his songs as a part of an apprenticeship grant that the state of North Carolina put out. It's the first one of its kind, and it was for older tradition bearer, as they would have said, that was carrying on a tradition to help give them an opportunity to learn, to learn it to another person that was interested in taking on those traditions maybe themselves. And initially I didn't intend to actually do that. I was just trying to help Bobby find some young person that he could work with. Finally he said, "William, why don't you just do it?" And I thought, yeah, why don't I just do it? So I'm glad that it changed my life. It was a good decision.
I don't know if it's your guitar or my microphone, William. I'm trying to figure it out.
I also want a capo.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. William's wearing what we call the all-you-can-eat jacket. It has. When you go to these buffets, you got several places inside there where you got Ziplocs and.
No, this is the best coat ever was. The pocket in there can fit an entire notebook. I mean, like a spiral-bound notebook.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
He's got more bad habits than he's got pockets.
Let's try this.
Yeah. It's still doing it. Hang on, William.
I could just sing like this.
Let me do something. That's still doing it. Oh, that's that mic. Yeah. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. I will do one quick thing here.
No matter how easy the sound check goes, the audio trolls are gonna.
So this comes from an old British broadside. And broadsides were basically inexpensive literature of the day, kind of like soap operas, that instead of going in here and, you'd hear someone, they'd maybe sing it to you, and then they'd give you the piece of paper, you'd give them a nickel or whatever it cost, a penny. And they would go on take it home, and they might use a tune that you suggested for it, or they might take their own tune that they knew from a hymn or something, and they'd put it to the song. But essentially, of the 1600s, 1700s, these were like the soap operas of their day.
See if that's any better.
Seems to be, yeah.
Well, I bought this microphone at the stock sale in Hickory in 1985. And I'm going to take it back.
But anyway, it's the song about the Edmund, the driver boy, and what he did probably was either delivering mail via boats, or even maybe driving cattle onto boats and moving them across the ocean, or the lowlands as they call it in Scotland. And he goes in and stays at the inn that belongs to his girlfriend, and she says, "Whatever you do, don't tell my parents what you do." And I don't know if that's because they knew that she was had affections for this guy that maybe was under her station. I don't know. Or if they had a habit of just killing kids that had monies full of gold that came to save their inn. It is a great mystery. But anyway, this is one of my favorite songs. Young Emmeline was a pretty fair miss. She loved a driver boy who drove her state some gold to gain way down in the lowlands. way down in the lowlands low. Be sure you tell them nothing, or let my parents know that your name it is young Edmund, who drives in the lowlands low. That your name it is young Edmund, who drives in the lowlands low. Young Edmund fell to drinking before he went to bed. He did not know his sword that night would part his neck and head. He did not know his sword that night would part his neck and head. Young Emily in her chamber, she dreamed an awful dream. She dreamed she saw young Edmund's blood go flowing like a stream. She dreamed she saw young Edmund's blood go flowing like a stream. Young Emily awoke in the morning, putting on her clothes. She went to find her driver boy, who drove in the lowlands low. She went to find her driver boy, who drove in the seas alone. Oh, Father, where's that driver boy who spent last night with me? He's gone to dwell, no tongue can tell. His body's in the sea. He's gone to dwell, no tongue can tell. His body's in the sea. Oh, Father, it's oh dear Father, you'll die a public show for the murdering of young Edmund, who drove in the lowlands low. For the murdering of my Edmund, who drove in the lowlands low. Them ships that sails on the ocean, sailing to and fro. It reminds me of my driver boy, who drove in the lowlands low. It reminds me of my sailor boy, who drove in the lowlands low. And them coats that hangs on the mountain, they look so blue and true. It reminds me of my sailor boy, who drove in the lowlands low. It reminds me of my sailor boy, who drove in the lowlands low.
Yeah, boy. Now we're getting there, William. We're getting there now. How many have you killed?
Only 2, right?
Only 2. Well, let's see what case.
One was self-inflicted, so.
Yeah, well, Michael, you gonna kill anybody today, or you just gonna let them live?
Suicide. I'm going with strictly with suicide. I do that a lot on stage. When I was 13 years old, I walked into my cousin Patsy's house over in Buncombe County. She was 6 months older than I was and about 16 years more mature. She knew everything that was going on. She was not only a cheerleader, she was the president of the Beta Club and vice president of her class at Inca High School, so she kept up with what was going on. And I walked into her bedroom and she said, "You need to listen to this," and she took her little record player there and turned it on and put the needle down on the first track of the Kingston Trio's first record. And I couldn't believe it. To that point, I was going to be a jazz drummer. East Tennessee was a hotbed of jazz drumming in 1958, I can tell you. But, you know, I stayed and listened. I just never left her house that whole weekend. I just stayed and played that record over and over. They would bring me food. That's true. You know, y'all are old enough to remember your LPs when your favorite record, Madman Across the Water or whatever it was, you'd play that, you just play it and play it, play it, until it would get to where the needle would just go and slide across it. But somebody told you if you put a quarter on the arm of the record player, you could get more mileage out of it. By Sunday night, I had $5.83 stacked up on it. And I went home back to East Tennessee, and I traded Monday. My brother took me to Charlie's pawn shop, and I traded my snare drum for a K guitar. And when I walked back in the house with that guitar, my mother looked at me and she looked at that guitar and she kissed me on the mouth. Well, that K guitar lasted about a year, and all I did was I went to the Jack Lawrence School. I had to learn to play the guitar. I locked myself in my bedroom for a year. And that's how I walk up down the halls of the school playing my guitar. And then I brought we had to give our report cards to my dad every 6 weeks at the supper table. And then before we got dessert or not, he would critique everybody's report card. Well, he just opened mine up and looked at it and looked at my mother and said, "We need to get Michael a better guitar." And so they went to Lynn Shealy's music company on Main Street in Morristown, Tennessee, and paid today's equivalent of $3,200 for a Martin D21 guitar, which I still own. Well, that guitar and I took off. I didn't have a decent vehicle till I was 26, so I hitchhiked everywhere I went. The first place I think I ever hitchhiked was the Union Grove Fiddlers Convention, and then Galax and Hillsville and all those places, and then I started going further afield, and my early 20s just trying to find that place that Woody Guthrie kept talking about. Well, hitchhiking's a pretty interesting way to travel. Once I got my dad to co-sign for a new Ford van, I never had to hitchhike again, and I really didn't miss it that much, but the older I got, the more romantic it seemed. And when I turned 50, my wife, Joan, he ain't been 50 yet. You won't be laughing then. Anyway, when I turned 50, back in those days, my wife, Joan, has been my booking agent for 30 years, and she likes for me to be gone. So she keeps me busy, or did up until recently anyway. The pandemic slowed things down. But anyway, I had this hole in my schedule that was like 3 weeks with nothing to do, and that just was unheard of, because back in those days I was gone about 250 days a year, and I had this hole in my calendar. I thought, oh God, nobody wants to hear me anymore, you know. So anyway, Joan threw me a big birthday party. We were living in Charlotte, and she threw me a big birthday party, and a lot of people came. Patrick and Kay came, and we stayed up late, and it was fun. All played music, and the next morning I was sitting out on the back porch. Everybody was gone. I was looking at the mess in the yard and thinking, well, congratulations, you're 50. Anyway, Joan hadn't given me a present, but she'd done that real nice party for me, and I thought, well, that's really nice. And then the door opened, and she walked out, and she was holding my guitar case and a little backpack, and she sat them down next to me, and she said, "Happy birthday." I said, "What do you mean, happy birthday?" She said, "You got 3 weeks off. Be back in 3 weeks." And so I had her take me out to wherever the edge of town of Charlotte was at that time. And I just thought, well, I'll go west because that's where most of the land is. I should go west. So I just started rambling around playing Woody Guthrie again, you know, at 50 years old. And I had friends all over the country, and I'd hitchhike from one to the other. An old buddy of mine from high school, Bob Houck, lived in Missoula, Montana. So I'd been gone about a week and a half, and I stayed with Bob 2 or 3 days, and thought, well, I'll go over into Utah and come down and visit all those national parks down through there, you know. So I got over in northern Utah there, and it was evening, it was getting dark, and I was stuck in this little truck stop, just a little crossroads out there in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, I thought, well, surely to God somebody will pull up to these gas pumps eventually, and I didn't care which way they were going. I was going to try to ride with them because I'd been there about 4 hours. Anyway, I was sitting there in the little cafe part, and there was one waitress and the guy that was running the cash register. And I finally saw a car pull up out front, but he didn't pull up to the gas pumps. It was an old gold Cadillac. But he didn't pull up to the gas pumps, he was just sitting out there. And I was thinking, well, I don't know how far that car will make it, but if that old boy's going in any direction, I'm gonna see if I can get in the seat. Well, finally he got out of the car and he walked in, and I was sitting there at the table by myself drinking a cup of coffee. And he looked at me and he just walked over and he sat down right beside me. Not across the table, but right beside me. Came from Oklahoma, at least that's what he said. I met him in a truck stop and he bummed a little bread. I asked him where he's going, and he looked at me and said, to Del Rio. His eyes were black as cinders, and his voice was cold as death. He was drinking holy water, crossed himself with every breath, and he said, I must be going. There can be no rest until Del Rio. He said they walk the night and fear the light in that little town. A lot to do before I'm through in that unholy ground. You better hit the ground running as soon as you touch down in Del Rio. He asked me where I was headed. I said I didn't know. Then he lit a cigarette, and I looked into the glow. And the next thing I remember, I was telling him I'd go to Del Rio. We rode across most of Utah in his old Cadillac. Blew out a tire, and we didn't have a jack. So we just started walking, headed for the railroad tracks in Del Rio. He said they walk the night and fear the light in that little town. A lot to do before we're through in that unholy ground. You better hit the ground running just as soon as you touch down in Del Rio. And it helped to stop the shakes as we huddled in a boxcar and we sharpened 20 steaks and hit the ground that morning as the sun began to break above Del Rio. He said they walk the night and fear the light in that little town. in Del Rio. Now the years have blown away, and I take comfort where I find it. But I don't look in the mirror, cause there's way too much behind it. And I don't look across my shoulder, I don't need to be reminded of Del Rio. They walk the night and fear the light in that little town. A lot to do before I'm through in that unholy ground. You better hit the ground running just as soon as you touch down in Del Rio. In Del Rio. In Del Rio.
I just love that song.
I got the copyright version.
Remember the
There's,
first-
if you ever hear it on the record, the best thing on the record is Jerry Douglas plays a dobro on it, and it gets to this one part, and he mutes the strings and goes, it sounds like bats flying out of a cage.
Are you still in drop D, K-Bob?
I am.
Well, I believe I'm going to jump in here and do another song and then have you do one. And then that might be about it, sweetie. We're getting close. And I want to thank Justin Butler for sure for having us here today. And this is a beautiful, I love this little theater here at Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute. It's where Kay and I made our acting debut. I think with Punk Boys and Dinettes, is that right, Kay? Just before Hurricane Hugo?
Yep.
You know,
No.
no,
That was
different time.
That was one song.
Yeah, well, I'm getting old, I can't remember all the things we tell lies about anymore. This is a great rock and roll drummer on this guitar. And so I don't ever tune it like a guitar. I usually just tune it like a drum. Bang on it, make rackets, and think of my old buddy. This is a song about a man who was born in Caldwell County in 1911. Lived a place y'all might know of. Anybody in here ever hear tell of Ned Jones Hill? This is a song about a man who used to live on Ned Jones Hill. He wound up out west like Mikey there, except he was on the other end of the stake. And that was, he wound up out there June 4th, 1937. And he was in the electric chair at Huntsville prison out there. And they called it the Walls Unit when they put him on death row. If you went to the Walls Unit, everybody knew you weren't coming back. And while he was there, he had a friend named Wheezy Ellison. And Wheezy was a man who'd been convicted of rape. And Wheezy ended up meeting the stake on the same day. So it's I checked the records out there, and it was very rare that they would do two people in the same day, but it must have been a big day for somebody. I don't know.
Double bad.
A double batch, double bad. Once was a bad man from Ned Jones Hill. He loved to rob or he loved to steal. He went to Burke County where he gunned down a man. The judge said, son, you gotta leave this land. The judge said, son, you gotta leave this land. Roddy was a place, said he would not stay. He said, I'll change my clothes, I'll disappear. And when the lights go dim, I'll be out of here. When the lights go dim, I'll be out of here. The very next morning, the guards looked all around. The man from Whitnall could not be found. The outlaw was gone, they couldn't find him no more. He turned up in Atlanta, robbed a liquor store. He turned up in Atlanta, robbed a liquor store. Once more he outran the long arm of the law. He crossed that old Red River into Arkansas, on over to Texas without hesitation, where he sealed his fate, robbing a filling station. He sealed his fate, robbing a filling station. His last day on earth was June 4. He said goodbye to Wheezy as he walked past his door. He said, I'll leave the walls unit without any fear. When the lights go dim, I'll be out of here. When the lights go dim, I'll be out of here. Once was a bad man from Ned Jones Hill. Okay, you know which one I'm going to request of you.
I do. During COVID times, everything's going to be before BC from now on the rest of our lives. It's before COVID, after COVID. During COVID times, Patrick and I would get a little stirry crazy and have to go out and just leave the house, get out of the house. At one time we'd gone up to Mulberry, on Mulberry Road anyway. We were driving one Sunday morning, we had the radio on, we heard this song, it's like, oh, gotta learn that one.
Well, okay, while you tune up, I just want to, we had talked, once again, I want to thank Justin Butler, and Justin had a great idea. He said, Patty, he said, today's show's only going to be like an hour long. He said, you think y'all might want to take a show like this to the Civic Center sometime and do a longer show? I said, oh yeah, we're going to need a longer show for this right here. I said, the hardest thing is going to be how to stop it. But I want to I think we've all done 2 now, K-Bob, but you went first, so you get to do 3. So let's give William Ritter a hand. The incomparable Michael Reno Harris. And this song right here, this is my favorite Halloween song. It might be my favorite song, period. But,
You know, we've been doing songs that are like several hundred years old, that they tell stories. Mike's just been doing his songs that tell stories, as has Patrick, and this is yet another one. It takes a while to unfold, but this is a song by Larry Cordell.
I hear you, Pete Townsend, or you, Keith Richards, over there playing electric guitar.
January broke still and freezing cold. You could hear the timbers pop and crack all along the mountain road. A neighbor came told my mom, you best be coming quick. Shade Wallen's on his dying bed. He's awful frail and sick. Old Shade was a wicked man. He cussed with every breath. His wife called for the preacher, but he scared him half to death. He said, don't you pray for me, my damn you anyway. Took a painful ragged breath and said, it's too late to save me now. Mom got her coat and told me, go and saddle up old Bill. And the cold night bitten to me as we rode through the hills. We journeyed for an hour till we saw the coal oil light. When Mom got down, I tied old Bill with the other horses tight. Inside, Mom said, Miss Virgin, I just don't know what to say, but you should eat something, honey. Let me fill you a plate. She looked up with tear-filled eyes without an ounce of hope and just said, sis, pray with me that old Shade don't lose his soul. At the dead hour of midnight, an eerie still fell on that room. No sound except for old Shade fighting hard against his doom. He tried to whisper something, what on earth could it mean? And then his eyes flew open and he let out a desperate scream. What happened next, I'll tell you, haunts me to this day, I swear. Cold as it was, the spring frogs started croaking everywhere. Outside, the tethered horses all broke away and ran. And his old hound dogs tucked their tails and were never seen again. Well, I don't know when exactly old Shade gave up the ghost, but that final wretched struggle is what I remember most. And at this night of terror, Willie Rainey said it best. The devil came and got old Shade when he took his last.
Terry Crouch, William Render, Michael Leno Harrell, folks. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all coming today.